Hey friends, welcome to the part 34 of this playlist. This is the YouTube handle. You can look out for playlist, videos, shorts. Remember, this channel is dedicated to help you clear AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Snowflake certifications. If you haven't yet subscribed, please take this opportunity to subscribe. And you can also become a Cloud Kernel member. The link is in the description. The free content plus the paid content together will help you clear the certifications. Let us jump into the questions. So there is a company, it has quality control applications, these yellow boxes, these are all applications. And what have they done? They have containerized these applications. They have containerized all applications. That means containerized means they have packaged it once and deploy all. They can deploy it on Linux systems, they can deploy it on Windows systems, they can deploy it on AWS cloud, Azure cloud, and so on. They are already using Jenkins for deployment, okay, and the Jenkins is on EC2 instance. Now, what is the requirement? They want to encrypt the build artifacts, okay, and they want to do it in the most maintainable manner. So, what should we do? See, the first thing I'll tell you the first thing. Uh, Jenkins is already there with them, okay, and they have put Jenkins on a EC2 instance. So, what is, for example, this blue box is the EC2 instance, and they have put Jenkins here, okay. So, D option D, they are saying that boss, let us replace Jenkins. Let us use code build. By the way, I was just looking at this news. Rahul Gandhi has left the bungalow in which he was staying for 20 years and he is shaking his hands with CPWD employees. Congress party workers have started a campaign called Mera Ghar Aapka Ghar. That means my home is your home, and they all are inviting Mr. Gandhi to stay with them. But he is moving to his mom's place for now and then he will decide. Okay. So, so code build, you want to build and test your code with automatic scaling, then you use code build. Okay. So it has scale capacity automatically and you pay only for the build minutes. Okay. This is used to build. But what is Jenkins used for? So Jenkins also, like, it is used for like CI CD, not CI, majorly CD. If you see this Jenkins CD, this is used for continuous deployment, and it is a open source automation server. So it is used for building, deploying, and automating any project. So Jenkins is very popular among the CD pipelines. It is very popular. See, my take is for Jenkins, a direct replacement can be code pipeline. This is for continuous delivery pipeline, right? Deployment and delivery pipeline. This could have been a direct replacement of Jenkins. Obviously not alone, clubbed with some more components. So D looks wrong because it is not an apple to apple replacement. Okay. Plus, you know what? The company has already made investments on Jenkins. So, uh, and Jenkins is a leader product. So, see, we are going against our thumb rule. Many times we say we will not create a custom solution. AWS is testing your knowledge on AWS resources. But whenever we see something like Jenkins, which is a much mature product, AWS wants you to know Jenkins. Okay. Now, earlier, like 2.5 years back, same thing they used to do with Terraform until their own stuff, own resource like AWS Cloud Formation, it became more matured. Then they expect you to know cloud formation, but before that the question was accepting that the answer has to be something to do with Terraform. See, in this question, what are the two things you have to do? You have to encrypt your build artifacts, right? You have to encrypt it and you have to do it in the most maintainable manner. So C says we will use code pipeline. Okay, so that means Jenkins investment is down the drain, and they will encrypt the artifacts using secrets manager. So see, secrets manager. So we use secrets manager to store secrets. What are those secrets? The secrets can be something like your credentials, API keys, tokens. So one thing you should remember is for encryption, using secrets alone will not help. Secrets is like you store the credential and you can rotate the credentials. But if you want to encrypt, you should use KMS. This service you see, KMS. See, this is a service which is used to provide keys to encrypt or digitally sign your data. That is what is required in this question. You want to encrypt the data within your application. Okay. So secrets manager will not be a foolproof solution because they are not making use of KMS. First thing. Second is they are replacing Jenkins with code pipeline. Do we really need to do that? Is it most maintainable? Because we are supposed to tell this. Is it most maintainable? Now, A says that you automate patching and upgrading using systems manager. See, if you want to manage your resources in multi-cloud, suppose you are on AWS as well as Azure, you have two different clouds. If you have two different clouds minimum, then you are multi-cloud. Or we are talking about hybrid environments. Hybrid means you have your on-premises servers or data centers, as well as you have your AWS cloud. Systems manager works both the places to manage your resources. You can maintain instance compliance and configuration policies and so on. Okay, but this will not help you with anything. Like, you have to encrypt your artifacts, so it will not help you with encryption. The second thing is, it is saying that we would automate the patching and upgrading. So uh, the way I see this is, they are saying, okay guys, they are softly saying, Jenkins, forget about it, let's use system manager on EC2 instance. So systems manager, you don't have to put on EC2 instance, it can be a separate service itself, it's a separate resource. Second thing they are saying is, you encrypt Amazon EBS volumes by default. Okay, that means they want to put the build on EBS volumes. EBS is very expensive and it is not most maintainable. This would be wrong. First of all, systems manager cannot be a replacement for Jenkins, a wrong choice of product. And the second thing is, I would put the encryption and the code build in S3 instead of EBS volumes. It's not easily maintainable. So this would be my answer. Now, what we are telling is, see, first thing, okay, please focus on this. First thing, we had Jenkins here, and we are not losing out on Jenkins. The only thing we are doing is, see, the moment you see container, it has to be ECS, it has to be ECS, it has to be ECS. So using ECS, you can run highly scalable containers, because question already says everything is containerized. So this is a perfect example to use ECS. Okay, so we have sorted that out. So the only thing we are doing is, they had Jenkins on EC2 and we have moved it to ECS. Simple. Second thing they are doing is, the build artifacts, they will move to S3 bucket with default encryption. So that solves our encrypting build artifacts, because the build artifacts are getting stored and it is easily encrypted, which is most maintainable. So this requirement is also fulfilled. So this would be my final answer. So if you see this documentation on S3 buckets encryption, default encryption, the default is server side encryption. So you can pause this video and read this. This will give you a good context of how the encryption works. Okay. So let us look at this next question now. See, there is a requirement. Anything, any EC2 instance that has been logged manually must be terminated. Okay. So you have to terminate any instances, any sessions of EC2 instance in, if it is there within 24 hours, you have to terminate. First thing, you have to terminate within 24 hours. That is your first requirement. Okay, now just for this, if you have to terminate, let us scan through the options. See, if you scan through the options, you will note two things. First thing is, you have to tag such instances. What you have to do, you have to tag these instances first. Otherwise, how will you know? You have to terminate. For example, if people say, I'm arranging a lunch, I'm giving a treat, and I want to know, um, who are veg and who are non-veg. So we are tagging like these names. These guys are non-veg. In non-veg also, who would prefer chicken, who would prefer fish, mutton, and so on. So we do that tagging first. Once the tagging is done, what will be the next thing you will do is you will trigger. Trigger means you will trigger a platter of meat to the non-vegetarian guy. You will trigger a platter of vegetarian starters to the vegetarian guys, right? So that is, so there are only two actions. You are tagging first, then you are triggering to execute the action. I repeat, you have two actions. You have to tag first, and then you have to execute it next. Now let us look for a silly option. Okay, always you remember 90% of the time, one option is always the most silly option. That, in my uh, opinion, is option B. Why? I'll tell you, because what they are saying is we will tag it and we will not trigger. We will ourselves, the program will not execute. We will uh, create a SNS topic. We will send an email. SNS topic means you are going to send a push notification service, a pops up service. It can be emails, it can be messages, it can be SMS text, basically push notifications and so on. To whom? You will send it to the operations team and tell operations team, boss, can you terminate the instance? So the operation team will terminate the instance. Boss, where is automation here? No, simple question. Now you will say, who told to automate? Boss, the question is saying, right, you want a process to automate this, automate this, automate this. So did we automate? No, they are asking the human beings to terminate, the operations team to terminate. So there is no automation here. Automation, what does automation mean? That means the machine will do the job, humans will not do the job. Option B, humans are doing the job, that is why it is wrong. Okay, now similarly, option C is wrong. It is telling you to use SQS queue. So what it will do is it will put everything in a SQS queue, and then it will use a group of worker instances to process the messages from the queue, which will schedule event rule to trigger. See, boss, you have to tag first. Okay, what C is telling is the CloudWatch alarm will trigger on login event. You don't have to trigger on login event. Okay, you just have to check the last 24 hours. If anything is logged in manually, you have to terminate. So this is against the requirement. You have not understood the requirement. Now A is making use of step functions. What it says is you create a CloudWatch log subscription, that is fine, and for step functions. So what are step functions? Visual workflows for distributed applications. Okay, so basically if you want to set up a workflow means first you do this. First you put a plate on a table, then you put a glass and cutlery on the table, then you first serve salads, then you serve pickles, lemon, then you put a drink in a glass, then you serve starters. This is the workflow. This is the workflow. Do you have a scenario of a workflow here? No, boss, there is no workflow. The simple thing is whichever idiot has logged in, kick him out. Okay, simple. So why will we do these step functions? What we have to do is whoever is logged in, whoever is logged in, it may be manual login, etc. Have to kick them out. So we only have option D left. See why I say whoever and the derogatory term. The reason for that is why do we use it? And there is a purpose I want you to know this is in real life. If you tell a lot of people that this time you have to be out of the system, uh 70% of people will do that, 30% will still be there. And I'm telling you, if you are a housekeeping guy, an administrator or so on, these guys are notorious guys. They will not follow orders, and that is why you are having this kind of scenario where you are being tested. If you have to do that, what will you do? Okay, so people who don't follow orders, I believe they are not good guys, but they are not so bad as well. It's just maybe something important, and they think that it does not carry weightage. So D is the answer. So they will have a Lambda function. They will subscribe to the watch logs. Then they will tag the EC2 instance that produce the login event, and they will mark the instance to be decommissioned. Terminate means you are decommissioning the instance. The instance will die. Okay, you are terminating it. And then see, right now you are marked it. I told you you have to tag it. Once you tag it, you have to execute it. So then you execute through the Lambda function and you terminate all the instances with this tag. Wherever you find this tag, you are terminating. Wherever you find vegetarian, you are putting a vegetarian starter on their plate. That is the example I'm giving you. Tag and then execute, tag and then execute. This is my final answer. See, it takes time to explain these concepts, okay? But if you are totally into, like, just going through the options to just understand the answer, and you are not worried about concepts, then you would find these concepts boring. But if you are looking for a long-term career in the cloud space, and you have to focus on the concepts will help you get through in the certification exam, even if you don't get exactly same questions. Okay, see, this question you can read, we can pause and read it, but I'll tell you in a nutshell what's happening is they already have, say, a cloud formation template. An example I'm telling you, they already knew that I want to create two EC2 instance through this template. Now after 2 months they decide, okay, we will create one more instance. So they upgrade. Okay, they want to update, they want updates made to the application, and they, you know they update the cloud formation template also with the new AMI ID. Okay, now after the stack finishes, the engineer manually terminates old instances one by one. They want to automate this process. See, automation of this process, they want to do it with least number of manual steps, right? Because the entire world wants to work less. Okay, and that is why, chat GPT is also catching up, because at this stage I'm telling you, it is not going to replace jobs. Chat GPT will be your partners. It will help you to a great extent to um, code things yourself, and you can learn a lot of things, and you can do it yourself, and you can do it at a faster pace. Okay, so what is required now is you have to be good at passing the right prompts to ChatGPT. So the answer is simple. You want to update, you want to provide updates, so you can do it via the rolling update policy. So if you see this documentation, this is talking about rolling update policy. You can pause and read this carefully. So this would be my final answer. I hope you have subscribed. If you have not, then probably you may be losing out on the concepts. So many people have cleared the certifications on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Snowflake using these contents. There is also an option to become a cloud kernel member. The link is in the description. This is the handle of this channel. This is a YouTube handle. You can look out for shorts, playlists, videos, and so on. This brings us to the end of part 34 on DevOps Professional. Stay tuned, stay focused.